question you have to answer is how do you decide what content to standardize and what content to localize? That's usually the fundamental questions that you're going to ask, and your geo partner, your country marketing people is going to ask you, also your managers. So there are 5 things you have to take into account. Okay, these are the 5 things. And it also depends in terms of how your company works. Right? What are the 5 elements? Is your organizational structure, your budget allocation, okay? You don't have to write those down because I can tell you that you have to think through it a little bit more in terms of what that means and how you create your global content plan that incorporate that. And then you have to look into your audience, and I want to talk a little bit about that as well. The other thing is a creative concept. A lot of time content marketers, we don't actually look into creative. We focus on writing. We focus on generating content, but creative was done by someone else. But creative is a huge part of it to help you determine what part of the content or what content pieces that you should standardize or you should localize. Another thing is the marketing channels. Okay, so when you are thinking how to balance that, the standardizing and also localizing content, you need to sit back and take these 5 elements into account. Okay. So I want to talk about a couple companies to share with you in terms of what they do and how they deal overall at the high level, how to balance that standardization versus localization. If you think about it, IBM, Oracle, and if you go to their website, it's very similar from country to country in terms of their website, how that will look like. And I talked to the IBM and also Oracle marketing professionals, their budget and also how their corporate team supporting their sales is very centralized. That means the corporate marketing team will provide feedback, directions in terms of how the content needs to be created, right? They also provided the website templates that apply that to different languages and also the different website pages. The key thing is the product they are selling tend to be homogeneous. If you are selling homogeneous type of product, the content localization probably tend to be less. Does that make sense? So you have to think strategically, your company, the type of products that you are selling, and also your organizational structure. That's the first thing. As a marketer, don't just dive into, oh my God, these are the content I need to localize, but think back, sit back and think in terms of what does my organizational structure look like, what is the budget allocation. Once you have understanding of that, you can think through in terms of your communication approach. How are you going to deal with it? Is that helpful? And Deloitte is a consulting firm. Granted, it's a global consulting firm, but every single country's Deloitte branch is PMO driven at the country level. They have to create their own revenue, they have their own expenses, they have to take into account. Because it's so localized, guess what? The content is likely to be localized. And the budget of creating content tend to be at the country level. With that, the headquarters will tend to provide guidance, templates, but they are not going to give a lot of directions to the local office. Again, you have to think within your company, how does your company work? How do you, if there's a PML at the country level and they allocate marketing budget at the country level, chances are they have a lot to say in terms of what content needs to be created. Does that make sense? So you have to think it through.